Nathan's combat class with Jason had turned dangerous. Nathan never backed out of a fight, but today was personal.
One day, I'll make your father my slave and piss on him.
And that was when Nathan lost his cool. Little did Nathan know, it was a fatal mistake.
Headmaster, stop the duel! Nathan, yield, please! I yield.
Not enough for me.
The greedy smile on Lord Byram's face told Remus everything he needed to know. Byram stood up suddenly, drew his axe, and spoke loud enough for all the men in the courtyard to hear as he held his weapon up toward the sky. "Mighty High Lord Raven, I, Lord Byram Clay, swear to the heavens that from today onward my house shall be at your command." Dozens of House Clay members pounded on their tables in approval. The courtyard silenced as Remus stood up to address them all as well. "Noble Lord Clay, I accept your men in our joint effort to rid our houses of the filthy scum that plagues us both. Niles Raven and Michael Clay, both of you lads, come forward. Today, we have a mission for you, and when it is over, you will both be men." The men of both houses applauded loudly at their leader's declaration, slamming down on the tables with even more fervor than before. 2 days later, Nathan reluctantly followed Amelia through the streets toward the Sweetberry Tavern. Amelia harbored a fondness for a special, sickly sweet drink there known as Sweetberry wine. On top of this, she had yet to try the Sweetberry Tavern's famously delicious sweetberry soup that all the local nobles raved about whenever they all got together. One had to arrive at the tavern early in the day, or otherwise the soup would be sold out. Because of the rare ingredients in the soup, the tavern could only serve 10 bowls of it each day. This made the meal incredibly expensive, but Amelia had decided to splurge and treat her brother to the dish before the nobility examination began. Nathan wasn't particularly interested in trying the fancy soup or drinking the sweetberry wine, but he couldn't bring himself to say no to his older sister. In truth, he would have preferred a single home-cooked meal or a quick bite from a street vendor over such a bougie-looking restaurant. The Sweetberry Tavern was far from a typical Godricshall tavern. Its walls were painted colorful hues and adorned with pretentious artworks. In one corner, a bard played soft music on a harp. It was not Nathan's typical hangout, to say the least. "Amelia, did we really have to walk all the way over here for lunch?" "Are you really complaining right now, Nathan? We hiked up 1,000 steps to meet Officer Kane for your fancy lunch. The least you can do is pretend to enjoy the finer things in life. Here, try a bit of this sweetberry wine." "No, I'm good, thank you. If this counts as a finer thing, I'd rather keep things dull for now." "Don't be so picky. Just wait till I order up a bowl of that soup I was telling you about. Come on." Amelia motioned for Nathan to follow her up to the bar counter. As he moved with her, the hair on the back of his neck stood up. His spiritual energy warned him of some unknown threat. As a level 6 master warrior, the power of Asura flowed through Nathan and around him at all times. It vastly improved his senses and often warned him of incoming danger. "Come on, Nathan. Don't be shy. We've got soup to try." Nathan reluctantly followed after his smiling sister. As he walked over to join her at the bar, he sniffed the air and wondered where the threat was coming from. "What is this dark spiritual energy I feel around us? Does someone wish us harm? I better keep an eye out, just in case." As Amelia turned away from him to order their food, Nathan's right hand unconsciously went to the hilt of his broadsword that he'd slung over his shoulder. Something told him he would be forced to unsheath it before their lunch was over. Amelia smiled as she approached the barkeep at Sweetberry Tavern. "Hello there, sir. Table for 2, please." "Yes, my lady, of course." And make it a private table, please, somewhere out of the way." Nathan frowned as he continued to sense trouble. Perhaps a more secluded area would give them peace, or at the very least, flush out any possible assailants. "Of course, good sir. I know just the spot." The barkeep led them out of the noisy main room and into the back to a private courtyard table. Nathan, why do we have to be outside? It's hot out here." Nathan Hayfield smiled at his sister as they sat down at their table. He didn't want to worry her if he didn't absolutely have to. "Come on, Amelia. The fresh air is good for the both of us." The shopkeeper smiled as he whipped out menus for both of them. "Now, what are you fine folks in the mood for today?" Amelia immediately caught the man's gaze. "Shopkeeper, do you have any more sweet berry soup today, or are we too late already?" The shopkeeper grinned as he did his best to impress the two young nobles. "You two sure are lucky. Only 5 bowls have been bought today, so there's plenty left for the both of you." Nathan nodded his head at the man. "Then we'll take a bowl for each of us, and some of your assorted side dishes, if you please." Amelia chuckled. "And perhaps just a glass or two of your wonderful sweet berry wine?" "At once, young master and my lady, and thank you both once again for gracing us with your presence here at the humble Sweetberry Tavern." Soon, a series of delicious side dishes appeared in front of them, as well as a few flagons of wine. Nathan ignored the wine as he dug into potatoes, leeks, yams, and dumplings. Meanwhile, Amelia waited patiently for the main course. "What's wrong, Amelia? Don't you want some of this stuff?" "That's okay, little brother. I'm mostly here for the soup. I don't wish to sully my clean palate with anything else, besides a little sweet wine, of course." "Suit yourself, sis, but I gotta tell you, you're missing out." After nearly an hour, Nathan began to frown. Amelia was clearly starving, but any time the barkeep rushed past the open door, he seemed to ignore her glances or raised hand. Finally, Nathan had enough of this and waited at the doorway for the barkeep to pass by. When he did, Nathan shot a hand in front of him and frowned. "Hey there, barkeep. What's going on here?" The barkeep's face was covered in sweat as he anxiously looked for a way to get around Nathan. "I'm very sorry, sir, but I have an important matter to attend to in the kitchen, so—" "Not so fast. Come on now. What's really going on?" The barkeep finally looked into Nathan's sharp eyes and relented. "My dear guest, I'm very sorry, but it seems likely that there might be issues with your sweet berry soup." "What kind of issues?" "We don't have any left anymore." "I thought you said there was plenty left." "Those bowls were spoiled, I'm afraid. Listen, we've got plenty of other meals for you and Lady Hayfield to enjoy." Nathan sighed. Clearly, the man was in some sort of bind. He wasn't trying to take their money and run. That much was obvious. "What really happened to our bowls? And please, don't lie to me this time. I'm not one to punish people for things beyond their control." "Good sir, almost immediately after you ordered your soup, a group of 5 rowdy young men came in off the street. They were dressed most extravagantly and demanded your soup, all of our remaining stock. I tried to explain that your bowls had already been ordered, but they shouted at me and threatened to whip me like a horse if I didn't do as they said. I'm very sorry, sir, but they've taken your orders." "Be careful of your words here, shopkeep. What did they say to you exactly?" They said they wished for all the sweet berry soup we had available. When I told them there were only 3 bowls left, they demanded your share. They said, 'What about Nathan Hayfield's order? His family will fall soon anyway.' They said you didn't deserve it, sir." Nathan could barely suppress his anger. "So they're looking for trouble, huh?" The shopkeeper nodded his head profusely, desperate to shift the blame onto the real perpetrators. "Yes, they seemed to be, sir. Not to mention a single portion of sweet berry soup is enough for nearly 2 people. There's no way they each needed their own bowl. I'd wager it was all just a ploy to draw you toward them." Well, unfortunately for them, it worked. Nathan's fist hit the door frame loudly as he turned back to face Amelia, who sported a look of grave concern. "Amelia, whatever happens, you best stay here." Amelia stood up, even more concerned now. "What is it, Nathan? What's wrong?" Nathan's face grew softer in front of Amelia's expression. "Just stay here, all right? Somebody's trying to mess with our soup. I'll be back in a minute, I promise." "Nathan, don't. It's just a dish. We can go somewhere else. It's not worth you getting hurt." "Unfortunately, sis, it's not just about the soup. If we leave them today, they'll simply harass us again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that, until they're harassing us for Father's seat. Sooner or later, we'll be forced to act, and I have no intention of waiting any longer." Amelia's face grew somber. She knew in her heart that her brother's words were true. Still, she couldn't get the image of his split-open skull out of her head. "Very well, then. I understand." Nathan's smile faded into a grimace as he turned back to the barkeep. "Let's go, then. Lead me to them. I wish to meet this rowdy bunch." "Right this way, good sir." As Nathan followed the barkeep, he failed to notice Amelia trail after them. She had no intention of staying behind and failing to protect her brother a second time. Nathan followed the barkeep through the tavern and up a flight of stairs toward a private room directly above the main hall. Suddenly, the barkeep froze outside the door as he pointed at it. "They're in that room, sir, although I beg you, seek to resolve this matter peacefully. After all, they have a numerical advantage, and all 5 of them look to be extremely wealthy." Nathan simply scoffed and moved toward the door, one hand on the hilt of his broadsword. From inside the room, sounds of debauchery, laughter, and gruff whispers could be heard. "But if you must choose violence, sir, I beg of you to take this matter outside so as not to disturb my other guests. This is a place of business, after all." The barkeep frantically backed away down the stairs to the bottom landing, where he nearly bumped into Amelia. Nathan rapped on the door with his knuckles and then shouted at the top of his lungs. "Come out and face me, you villainous scum! Didn't your mother teach you not to steal food? I guess not. No matter. I'll make sure all of you learn your lesson well." The door to the room burst open, and out rushed 5 people at the same time, each one clutching the hilt of their blades. Nathan immediately recognized Niles Raven and Michael Clay as the leaders of the group. The other 3 were likely lackeys of the 2 noble sons. Niles grinned as he took a step toward Nathan. "So it is you, the little Hayfield brat. I was beginning to worry you'd run away." Michael stepped forward next to Niles, desperate to match his macho energy. Nathan could tell he must have hit the sweet berry wine hard to muster up the courage for this little skirmish. "So what if we stole your food, huh? You don't deserve it anyway. A few weeks from now, you'll be nothing more than commoner trash. That is, if we decide to let you live." Michael's cheeks blushed as he gritted his teeth. The 3 lackeys laughed loudly at his words. From down below on the landing, Amelia could not remain silent any longer. "Michael Clay, how dare you say such a thing? Our family is still a noble house, and we have just as much a right to enjoy these luxuries as you do." Before this moment, she would have happily whisked her brother away from the situation, since she still felt it was foolish to fight over such a trivial matter as a bowl of soup. However, Michael had insulted her family's honor in public, and now she was determined to stay and fight beside her brother, even if the insulting party was stronger than them. "Ah, who is this now?" Michael looked down over the upper floor railing at Amelia, who stood with her arms crossed at the bottom of the stairs. One of his lackeys chuckled. "Oh, that's the horrible Hayfield girl. 20 years old and she's got nobody to marry. What a joke." Michael sneered as he shook his head at her. "Oh, it really is Amelia Hayfield, isn't it? Poor girl. Already so old, and yet you're holed up in your family's household. Too bad you've never been around a real man before. Once I teach your brother a lesson for murdering my little bro, Perhaps I'll consider taking you as a wife, huh? Amelia's face scrunched up in rage. Her fists clenched together as she imagined slaying Michael down herself. 20 years old wasn't really that old for a girl to be unmarried, but it was still a soft spot for Amelia, and she knew some ladies of Godricshall loved to gossip about such things. Amelia did everything she could to fight back the tears welling in her eyes, and instead smirked confidently at Michael as she spoke. You better hope you never get the chance, Michael, for any real man who shares my house ought to know his potions well, lest he drink something foul I may have accidentally slipped into his glass. Tell me now, would you prefer to piss blood before you die, or have your lungs filled with black bile? Perhaps a mixture of both is fitting for one so brash and stupid. Why, you impudent girl, I oughta... Before Michael could say another word, Nathan drew his broadsword and leveled it at Michael's neck. The 5 boys' eyes slowly turned to lock on Nathan's cold stare as he calmly spoke. Michael Clay, I suggest you hold your tongue before you lose it. You're courting death with every word you speak. Nathan didn't care what Michael said or did after this moment. As soon as Nathan had drawn his sword, he knew that Michael Clay would forever be a name on his mental death list. Whether it's today or a year from now, I swear to the heavens, I'll have this bastard's head for what he said. However, Michael's brashness didn't stop at Nathan's threat. Instead, the wine and his jeering peers gave him confidence in his actions. Look at this flashy oaf. He must be bluffing. There's no way he'd punch me with that sword in public. I'm the heir to the house Clay, after all. Michael sneered as he stuck his tongue out at Nathan. Nice sword. Where'd you get it? Your great-grandfather's crypt? I swear, this whole family's a joke. Perhaps I'll let you live a cripple and force you to attend your sister's wedding night with me as I... Before Michael could taunt Nathan any further, the Hayfield family broadsword cut the tip of Michael's tongue clean off. Michael screamed in agony as he stumbled back toward the other 4 boys. He spoke painfully with a now permanent lisp. My tongue! That bastard thought my tongue! Thief him in half! Niles drew his blade as the other 3 lackeys did the same. Finally, their taunting had paid off, and, legally, they had every right to come for him. Come on, lads. He drew first blood. Let's mince this mongrel down. They slowly advanced toward Nathan, who held a defensive stance, biding his time for the perfect moment to strike. Before the battle could commence, a commanding voice called out from the shadows in the tavern down below them. Wait, I said. Sheath your swords at once. Niles and his men did not sheathe their swords right away. Instead, Niles frowned and surveyed the tavern down below him. As he spoke, he addressed the entire room. Who is it that dares speak out now? What business is this of yours? Together, all of them searched to find the source of the booming voice. Niles Raven. It seems I've overestimated you. I would never have guessed you'd be so nefarious as to taunt a man into striking the first blow, only so you could plan to mercilessly kill him in public without legal repercussions. How dare you call yourself a noble? Everyone in the tavern looked around, confused. Nobody could locate the source of the voice. Niles grimaced as he peered into the poorly lit room beneath him. Who is it that challenges my honor? Show thyself at once. Suddenly, a silhouette shifted in a darkened corner of the room. A figure of a man with a mug in his hand leaned against a wooden beam. Save your breath, Niles. Unlike you, ravens, I have no issue with exposing my true intent. In a flash, the figure leapt out of the darkness and landed on the top of the stairs beside Nathan. The man smiled at Niles, Michael, and the other troublemakers as he took a step forward with a hand on the hilt of his thin rapier sword. Nathan marveled at the young man's demeanor in light blue armor. He reminded Nathan of someone else he knew, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Michael scowled as he spat blood from his mouth, and spoke in a lisp as he rushed toward the man. "How dare you rush to that scoundrel's defense? I'll—" "Shut up, you idiot!" Niles grabbed Michael before he could finish his threat and threw him out of the reach of the newcomer. Niles' own sneering face was replaced with a look of absolute fear. He quickly sheathed his sword and motioned for his men to do the same. Reluctantly, they followed his instructions. Niles looked at the ground as he timidly addressed the newcomer. "Sir Ian Lightstone, my lord, apologies for the disturbance. I've heard a lot about you. Michael Clay was quick to speak there, but he is only a weak little fool. Please pay him no mind." Michael frowned as he got up and blurted out once more in a lisp, "Sir Ian Lightstone? Sir Ian? Could it really be him?" Annoyed, Niles turned to his companion once more. "Yes, you dolt. Now shut up and kneel before him for forgiveness." With that, Niles and his men all knelt before Sir Ian Lightstone, the firstborn son of the High Lord Lightstone himself. He was well known throughout the fiefdom as one of the greatest spiritual warriors in Godric's land, and the bards often sang of his many great deeds. Nathan chuckled as he shook his head and sheathed his own sword. "Sir Ian Lightstone? No wonder he looked familiar. He's the spitting image of his younger brother, Stuart Lightstone. Even the way they speak is similar. Just from the way he intervened right now, I can tell he's an honorable man. It seems out of all the houses in the realm, House Lightstone is made up of good, honest folk. I guess it's no surprise why they're the most powerful high house in the fiefdom, beneath the Duke's own family." At the same time, many of the tavern patrons were taking notice of the commotion. "Is that truly Sir Ian Lightstone up there? Whoa, incredible. I had no idea that today I'd be lucky enough to witness so many noble family offspring in one place. Especially Sir Ian himself. He hardly ever shows his face in public. This is quite the occasion." Although the Raven and Clay families were known to frequently announce their presence when they entered the various restaurants and shops of the city, it was extremely rare to see anyone from House Lightstone, or even House Hayfield, for that matter. This wasn't due to them going out any less than the other noble houses. Instead, it was simply because the Lightstones and the Hayfields rarely announced their presence to the common folk. They had no desire to show off in the way that House Raven did. Finally, Michael Clay bent even lower than the others as he knelt. His lisp was as bad as ever. "Sir Ian, I beg your pardon, sir. I was in the wrong just now. I hope you can forgive me." Although Michael would have loved to have run Nathan through with his blade, he knew that he could get away with no such thing while Sir Ian was present. Sir Ian nodded his head. "Very well, then. You all may rise." Niles nodded back and sighed as he stood up. "Since this was just all a bad misunderstanding, we'll take our leave now." Sir Ian moved out of the way and allowed the boys to exit down the stairs. As they began to leave, Michael couldn't help but whisper harshly at Nathan. "Consider yourself lucky, Hayfield. Next time, you might not be so lucky." With that, Michael went to follow the others down the stairs. But Nathan stopped him, grabbing his shoulders and speaking loud enough for all to hear. "If that's the case, then why not settle it now, man to man? A duel with your lackey's help. The weather is warm, and it's as good a day as any to kick the pebbles out of my shoes." The crowd inside the tavern gasped at Nathan's provocative words. Nobody had thought Nathan would say anything to Michael after nearly getting skewered by the 5 boys. In truth, Nathan appreciated Sir Ian's honorable words, but he hadn't been worried at all by the fight, and he was still furious at Michael for his venomous jests aimed at Amelia. There were many thoughts of vengeance on Nathan's mind, and he wished to end things with Michael quickly. At this point, even if Michael Clay didn't accept the challenge, Nathan knew he'd have to find a way to kill him eventually. Niles' ears perked up at the challenge, and he swung around to see the excitement in Michael's eyes. Sir Ian sighed as Niles smiled at him. See, Sir Ian, it's not that we want to pester him, it's just that he doesn't plan on settling the matter peacefully. Niles spoke quickly, nervous that Nathan might change his mind and that their plan might once again be thwarted. Sir Ian scratched his head. I don't know about this. Sir Ian knew that Nathan had done well on the spiritual warrior examinations, but that meant that he was only a high-level beginner. Nathan's probably only level 8, whereas there are many rumors that Michael is on the verge of breaking into the apprentice level. Although the difference between them is slight, I doubt Nathan has the strength to defeat Michael on his own. Drats, why couldn't the Hayfield boy just let things be? Even after I went out of my way to help him, he still courts danger. Sir Ian turned to Nathan and gave him a quizzical look. Are you sure about this? Young warriors your age shouldn't be so impulsive because of a few ill-spoken words. Sir Ian worried about Nathan and his sister because of his brother Stuart's kind words regarding them. He knew that saving the Hayfields from the Ravens was the right thing to do, but Nathan had thrown a real wrench in his plans.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.